I welcome you guys back into my video. I will today explain how to never be cruel. You have to understand, guys, that it's about veganism. You have to understand that it's about really living to your best potential. You have to understand it's much more than that. You have to understand it's much bigger than who you are. You have to understand that when you're really empathetic towards yourself, you have to understand that is the only breaking point that you can grow. You have to understand that when you're growing as a person, you'll become less violent. You need to become less violent in order to do better. You need to do better so that you can really escalate your fame and career in freedom. You have to realize that it's never about being cruel to anybody. You have to understand that being cruel is also being a bully. You have to understand that those people who are bullies never get anywhere. You have to understand that negative people are always going to be the 99% of the crowd. You also have to remove yourself from the crowd. You have to move into higher grounds. You can only do that by really growing. You have to get around people who are really successful. You have to really be on the offense about life. You have to make sure that no matter what happens, you're always a person who's living to the fullest of your potential. You're always doing something incredible. You're always doing something that's worthwhile. You have to understand that you need a passion. You need something to do. You need to really show yourself that you can do better. You have to really motivate yourself every day because no one else will. You have to realize that it's really that nobody else will. You have to understand that no one is any one person. You have to understand that nobody is a somebody. You have to understand that some people out there are just very egotistical, and those are the people who are causing all the cruelty in the world. You have to understand that non-human animals did nothing to you. You deserve to eat something better now so that you can live 10 years longer. You have to understand that veganism is the way to go about that. You have to understand that people who are vegans live a much better life through energy. You have to understand that no matter what you have heard about eating meat and in terms of how Japan lives a certain amount of days because they eat fish, you have to understand that it's really that Japanese people are more vegetarian because they're still eating. You have to realize they're still eating a lot of fruits and vegetables along with their fish diets. You have to understand that the main ingredient of the Japanese people is more that they eat fish. You have to understand that is all they eat from the meat. You have to understand that. You have to understand that no matter what, that it's much better to eat fish than it is to eat all the animals in life. You have to understand that it's really more about growth and about your individuality as well as your originality, and how are you really going to prosper moving forward. How are you really going to succeed more than somebody else? How are you really going to do more than other people? You have to ask yourself questions. You have to be a person who's really empathetic towards yourself and others so that you can really grasp what you're saying. You have to be a person who's really into yourself and even connecting with your own music in life while you're even doing a video is very important. You have to realize that no matter what, I have theta brainwaves right now playing inside of my headphones as I have another phone over here. I love to just experiment with some different types of styles when I can do a video on the go. I can make sure I can block everything out from the outside noise as I hear radios next door and I also hear TV channels and whatnot. You have to realize that no matter what, that it's more important for you to really be focused in your videos. You have to realize that even when you're doing theta brainwaves, you can still be doing something according to, let's say, content. You have to drive content. You have to teach people. I can still hear myself as I listen to theta brainwaves, which is a nice relaxed state of calmness. I have a nice low frequency going on. I have a nice beautiful massage in my ears along with that. You have to realize that it's a nice beautiful way for you to do your videos also on the go. You can do your theta brainwaves while you're actually going around town. You can put on your theta brainwaves with another phone. You can do it with 2 phones. You get Spotify. You do it for free. Understand? And you never have to worry about cars driving past. You never have to worry about the noises going past because your theta brainwaves and your headphones are blocking out all the noise. That way, you have to realize that way you can continue your video, and you never have to be, let's say, irritated about what's happening around you. You can just focus on your video, and you're blocking out everything so that you can really produce your content. You have to realize it's about that. You have to realize that I can hear myself as I speak. You have to realize that it's just nice and polite for myself to block out any noise from the outside background so that I can really do my video. You have to realize that no matter what, that you just do something very amazing for yourself. You have to do something very amazing for yourself so that you can realize that it's much more important for you to live your life according to what's better than living someone else's life based on what you never needed. You guys have to make sure that no matter what, you get yourself a Samsung A20 Galaxy or a Samsung A51 Galaxy such as mine. I have two phones. I have a Samsung because no matter what, I see the iPhone is too expensive for me. I realize no matter what that I can afford what I can. I realize that I can still do all my work with my Samsung. I realize it's more important to have a phone that where you can do something with it rather than just do it for social media. You have to understand that many phones can go on social media and browse the internet. You don't need an iPhone to do that. You need an iPhone though to go and brand yourself and take photos. Literally, you have to understand, literally you need a phone that's really a massive megapixel size with resolution for your videos and for your content so that you can really drive home something much more quality. You have to realize that you can also pause this video. You can pause your videos on the go when you're really living life. You have to realize that it has everything to do with being a better person toward yourself. You have to realize that those people who are really looking for skills such as I can pause this video right now. I realize that when something else is bothering me, I can pause the video. I can go and pause the other aspect of life. I can remove myself from the situation. I can then start my video. You have to understand that it's being less cruel for myself than having to gain resentment and negativity because somebody else is disturbing me. You have to understand that when somebody else is disturbing you, you need to be nice and kind to yourself to remove yourself from the situation. Otherwise, you're going to be cruel to yourself. You have to understand that in this video, I teach you how to stop cruelty. You have to understand it means even stop cruelty to yourself. You have to understand it's never around the world. You have to understand it's always about you anyway. You have to understand that just because other people are eating meat never means that you have to go and eat it. You have to understand that just because other people are doing something never means that you have to go and do it. You have to understand that just because someone says something to you, you never have to believe it. You understand? You have to be a person who's questioning everything. You have to be nicer to yourself every single day. Otherwise, you're a person who continues cruelty. You have to understand that the nicer you are to yourself and the more you love yourself and the longer you live, you have to realize it's the nicer way to say that you're a kinder person. You have to realize that those people who live longer are kinder individuals than those people who, let's say, live shorter. You understand? You have to be a person who's living a long life either way. You can never die short. You can never think short. You can never be short. You understand? You may be a short person. You may be a midget. You understand? You may be a person who's a very small person. You just never judge yourself. You make sure you're still growing. You make sure that even though the world around you may laugh at you, you have to understand it's really the ego that's laughing at you. You have to understand it's never really them. You have to understand that many people are possessed by Satan. You have to understand that Satan is the ego mind. You have to understand that the ego mind is actually, you have to understand that the ego mind is actually what's above your body. You have to understand that your ego is right here. You have to understand that your ego is your brain. You have to understand that in order for you to stop cruelty, you have to live in your heart more. You have to be a person who's living in your heart. You have to be a person who removes the mind. In terms of, you have to be a person who has no mind. You never go and cut your head off. You never go and cut your mind off. You just have no mind. You just go and live in the heart. You have to realize that living in the heart is a much more abbreviated term to living a nirvana type lifestyle such as the Buddha did. You have to realize that the Buddha found out how to live fully in this lifetime and he called it nirvana. You have to understand that nirvana is a nice beautiful meditation where you can go into your heart and you can really prosper and become abundant because you're a wholehearted person and you're never really a person who is disturbed by others. You're just focusing on yourself, you're living in the heart, and you're just really pushing your content out there so that you can do something incredible for yourself, so you can really prosper and become more rich. And you never have to fear anything. You never have to be a loser. You never have to be a person who's following the crowd. You can be a person who's removing yourself from the crowd every single day and becoming more independent and interdependent, so that you can really manage yourself more. You have to understand that life is about managing yourself and other people. You have to understand that it's never just about you. You have to understand it's also about them. You have to understand that it's about you the most. You have to understand that when you're lifting yourself up the most, you lift other people with you. Understand that Jesus only cared about Jesus. You have to understand that because Jesus cared only about Jesus, you have to understand that Jesus went and taught people. You understand? You understand that without people, Jesus would never even have a name in the spotlight. You have to understand that everybody's part of this together. You have to understand that the world is one. You have to also stand for equality, and you have to be equal with everybody. You can never just be more superior than another person. You can only be more superior to this person you were. You are never in competition with others. You're in competition with yourself. You're in competition with your life only. You have to understand that when people are pushing you and forcing you to go and work the 9-to-5 job and to do something for them, you have to understand that you go and do it for yourself the most. You never do it for them. You go and do it for freedom. You go and do it for God. You never do it for money. You never do it for people. You never do it for possessions of this world. You have to understand that when you're really satisfied and when you're growing and when you're dissatisfied, you have to understand you're growing. You have to understand that being a person who's growing is always going to be satisfaction. You have to understand that you have to also stay dissatisfied in order to grow. You can never just be happy with where you are. You have to be a person who's becoming happier all the time. You have to be becoming more and more. You can never just stand still. You have to always look for new skills. You have to look for new ideas. You have to give more ideas. You have to find more ideas. You have to surround yourself with better people. You have to surround yourself with a better life. You have to have a better lifestyle. You have to have more of everything. You only have to work for freedom. You only have to work for something for free so that you can really live your life and enjoy the process, because it's never about the money. You have to realize it's more about freedom than the money. You have to realize it's more about where are you going today and how are you going to succeed. You have to understand, you have to ask yourself those questions. You have to get your journal out. You have to go and start writing everything in your journal so that you can produce better content and so that you can communicate better and so that you can do everything much better than yesterday. You have to realize that's what life is about. You have to realize that these theta brainwaves that I have in my brain right now is really helping me to communicate, and I find that having two phones you have to realize that I find that having two phones is an excellent opportunity for me to have more storage space and more megapixel cameras, and also I can listen to theta brainwaves while doing my life coaching videos, and you can also get the knowledge from me. You have to understand that I've learned this knowledge. You have to understand I've done the knowledge in the video. You have to understand that any content that I provide and anything that I teach is because I do it. I never lie about it. You have to understand that people who lie never even talk on camera. You have to understand that people who are never, let's say, successful more than you are people who are lying more than you. You have to understand they're lying to themselves. You have to understand that those people who have less success than you are more of the people who are fake in daily life. You have to stay away from fakeness. You have to stay away from people who are never growing. You have to understand you have to go out of your discomfort zone, because that's how you stop cruelty. You have to go and do something about it. You can never be in comfort, because people who are in comfort are causing cruelty and never growing. You have to go and lead those people. You have to show them how to stop being cruelty. You understand? So that you can go and help the world. You have to do something about it, as Arnold Schwarzenegger says. You can never just be in front of the television and watching politics and never do anything about it. You have to go and do something about it. You have to go and inspire the world in some kind of way. You can never just be in front of the television set watching other people. You have to be the person where other people are watching you more than you're watching them. You have to focus on yourself more than you're focusing on other people. You have to be a person that is much more worthy of yourself. You have to be worthy of your intention. You have to be worthy of your intention and attention. You have to be a person who's worthy in your life. You have to realize that the only person that's going to ever cheat you out is you. You have to realize that nobody else will cheat you out. You have to realize that you never even cheat you have to realize that you never even cheat yourself out in the first place. You need to be a person that is standing above the crowd in terms of you have more success than them. You're never a person who is exalted. You're a person who is humble. You understand? You have to be humble about it. You have to be a person who has high morals. You have to have a high vigor. You have to have high worth. You have to have high worth and high work ethic. You have to understand it's about work ethic. You have to be a person who is really, really spiritual and following Jesus in order to really stop cruelty. You have to understand you can look at the greatest inspiration of the world. You can look at Jesus. You can say that person can lead you even today. You can live a Jesus lifestyle today. You don't have to go and search for all the real estate in the world. You don't have to go and make money either, because you'll understand that Jesus will never do that. You would understand that Jesus would walk free. You would understand that Jesus would go into everybody's homes and have a free conversation with people without money and real estate involved. You have to understand that Jesus is never fond of money and possessions of the... You have to understand that Jesus is never fond of the possessions of this world and money and real estate. You have to understand that Jesus dominates in the world of wisdom, where it's more about leadership and growth and connecting with other people and enjoying the process more than dominating land and gaining power over people with money and scamming people and never teaching them because you need some dollar amounts to teach them. You have to understand that Jesus never needed money to teach anybody. You have to understand that Jesus went and just taught for free. You have to understand that the attention is what you need. You need attention. You need more eyes on you. You have to go and get it for free. You have to go and find someone who's up there. You first have to get the results. You get the results. I'm a person who lost 47 kilos. I have a nice, beautiful Instagram. I do self-education. I have results everywhere plastered on my face. I realize I have mentors now. I realize those mentors have other people along in their crowds where people can come and give me attention. I realize that they can grab someone from their team who can come and sponsor me in a nice, beautiful podcast for 1 hour. I can give them a story about me. I realize they put me on YouTube. I realize I get 1 million views. I realize I gain more attention that way. You need more views. You need more people following you so that you can help more for free. You have to realize that you need to make a service, such as Brian Tracy says, that is an offer that nobody can resist. You have to understand you have to provide a service where nobody can resist you. You have to understand you have to be so good that nobody will resist and hesitate to even learn from you. You can only do that in freedom. You can only do that when your work is for free. I promise you, when you price it for $7, I promise you that nobody will be interested in you because you have no attention. You have to understand you have to go and grab the attention first. You have to go and do it for free. You have to get in front of people's faces and you have to ask always. You always have to ask more and more of people to do something for you for free. You have to understand that when money is involved, you will go away from that person because that person has no obligation to help you. You have to understand that that person is working for money. You have to understand that you never need friends who are working for money only. You need friends who will help you for free. You need people who would grow with you for free and help you do something. You need teamwork. You need to gather up a collaboration team around yourself only. You have to realize that no matter what, you need to grow the most. You need a team around you where you can go up to them and say, I need you to do this for me for free. Are you able to do it? You have to realize that when the person says no, you never ask them again. You have to understand that person is never interested in you. You have to understand that person is never your friend. You have to understand that people who work for freedom will do anything for free for themselves to grow as humans. And also because when I ask you, are you able to do this for me for free? I expect a yes. Because no matter what, you need to expect what's free in life. You have to expect to do free in life. You have to realize that otherwise, those people who are working for money, I realize they are the people who are scamming you. I realize they are the people who are never even your friend in the first place. I realize those people are never working for money and just say no. I realize that they are also people who are working for money. I realize because otherwise they would have said yes. You have to realize that those people who dislike you can never be you. You have to understand that they will never have the success you have, and that's your greatest advantage and your greatest strength, and also your greatest vigor and your greatest revenge. You have to understand that those people who never like you and also hate you, while you are more successful, your success speaks louder than words. You have to realize that you never care about what people think. You go and do your own life. You just go and live your own life. You go and see how it is to really live your life. You need to be a person who's really fond of who you are. You have to realize you have to love yourself every day. You have to love yourself more and more. You need a better schedule. You need a better mindset. You need a better mentality on how to do something. You need to be in a relaxed state of calm when you're speaking and when you're talking, and you need to breathe. You need to breathe. You need to relax. You need to be a person who's just relaxed in daily life, because that's how you do everything. You do everything by talking it out. You understand? You have to go and expose everything you're doing. You have to be so interested in yourself that other people are going to be more interested in you than themselves. You have to understand that is the spotlight. You have to understand that's the attention grabbing point. You have to understand that when you're a person planning everything on video and you're looking at what to do in life, you have to look at yourself first. You have to look at you're the person in your life who's going to really do it for you. You have to understand that you're the only person in your life who's going to give you an opportunity to live your life and speak greater and do everything greater than you ever could in life. You have to understand that nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody's going to hold your hand. You have to realize that nobody's going to give you money. You have to understand that no matter what, you need to be a person who's just doing you anyway. You have to care about yourself more than money anyway. You have to realize that money is never going to solve your problems. You have to understand that when you have $50 million, where are you going to put it? You have to understand that no matter what, you just put in yourself. You understand? You have $100 million, where are you going to put it? You put in yourself. You just put everything in yourself. You understand? You have to understand that money is never going into your funeral. You understand? You have to understand that you can give money for your funeral. You have to understand you're never taking the money with you when you die. You have to go and invest all the money before you die. You understand? You have to go and give some. You have to go and cherish it. In terms of you have to cherish giving freely. You never cherish anything else. You understand? You give yourself the benefit of the doubt to go and give the most you can for free. You have to realize that that is a true Jesus lifestyle. You have to understand that Jesus was always giving for free. You have to understand that Jesus will never expect anything from you. You would watch the movie Jesus Christ, you would see people always asking Jesus for something. You have to understand that Jesus was always giving something. You have to understand when Jesus comes with you and when you are with Jesus, you would honestly see that Jesus will always give you something for nothing. You need to be a person who is doing that also. You need to realize that my mentors do it, I follow my mentors, and Jesus most of all. I realize I follow the free way. I follow anything that's free. I love free Wi-Fi. I love to go to the free beach. I love free money. I love to have a conversation for free. I love to have sex for free. I love to have a girlfriend for free. I never have to give money for it. You have to understand that. I love technology for free. I love presents. I love when someone gives me a present and I see a nice Ferrari in my garage for free. I realize, I swear, that is probably the best present ever. You have to understand that no matter what, anything that's for free is the best present ever. You have to realize I'm giving you a present right now. I'm giving you something for free. I give you something every single day. I give you journals. I give you my video. I give you my podcast. I give you my Instagram. You have to realize I post 60 photos in my Instagram every single day. I post 3 hours of content every single day inside of my Mega Drive. I'm doing 3 hours and more every single day. I try to do more than that. I am every single day writing about my life and doing my life to the best of my ability. You also have to be doing the same, and you have to be providing more than I do. You have to realize when you hate me and I've given you more than you have me, you have a problem. You have to understand that your problem is your attitude. You have to understand that you have to stop hating me because I'm giving. You have to understand that I've done nothing wrong. You have to understand I've done nothing right. You have to understand I'm just a person who's giving more than you. You have to realize that. You have to realize that whoever's watching this video, I've given you more than you have me. You have to understand that. You have to respect that. And you have to go and do more than me now. You understand? You have to understand that it's never about competition here. You have to understand it's more about let's make a world much better. Let's make this world much better. You have to understand that when we make this world much better, we're going to have much less cruelty in it. You have to understand that self-education is all about less cruelty. You understand? You need to make people more aware of what they're doing. You need to make more music. You need to do something that's going to develop you. You have to realize that finance will develop you. You have to realize everything's going to develop you. You have to realize that no matter what, you just have to be around developing people. You have to realize that the real finance is made through habits. You have to understand that you never make more money with money. You make more money by improving your habits. You can never go the short way. You can never go get rich quick. You can never do that. You have to realize that slow is the best way. You have to realize that the turtle that races the rabbit always wins the race, because slow and steady wins the race. You understand? You have to realize that the rabbit may be faster in doing tasks. You have to realize that in a marathon, though, the rabbit is dead. You understand? You have to understand in the marathon that the turtle wins. You have to understand that it's a slow road. You have to understand that it's a slow growth opportunity for you. You have to understand that each and every day you have to put yourself out there more and more. You have to do it because courage makes money. You understand what that means? You have to realize that's Grant Cardone's saying. You have to realize that courage is the foundation of what makes everything come true for you. You have to realize it's never even about the money anymore. You have to realize it's more that courage will get you everything. You need to go and build your courage up. You need to be a person who's courageous enough to stand in front of 10,000 people and teach. You have to be a person who's courageous enough to have everybody's attention on you. You have to be a person who's courageous enough where you step out of the door and you see paparazzi everywhere. You have to be courageous about that. You have to realize that people are going to follow you. You have to realize that people are going to ask you questions. You have to realize that you have to lead. You have to understand that it takes courage. You have to prepare for it every single day. You have to prepare more and more, and you have to get better. You have to improve your courage. You have to improve your skills. You have to improve your mentality. You have to improve your heart. You have to improve your health. You have to improve everything about you. You have to understand that nutrition is a big deal. You have to understand when you improve your nutrition, you also improve the world through your nutrition. You never have to eat animals. You never have to eat people. You have to understand that people today in 2020 are eating other people in some villages. You can imagine how they would kill a person to eat them. You have to understand how disgusting that is. You have to understand that is a human life form. You have to understand that the same thing is happening with non-human animals. You have to understand that I am no different to a non-human animal. You have to understand that I am also a person who is above the world. I am more than this world. You have to realize that I am human. I am also differentiated from a non-human animal in some aspects. You have to realize I have more privileges than a non-human animal. I also see that everything in this life is one. You have to understand that nothing in this life stays the same. You need to grow from it. You have to realize that even though when you grow, it stays the same anyway. You rather be on the point of the way that you grow and stay the same than die and stay the same. You have to be the person who's actually growing, because in the growing industry is the self-education industry, and in the self-education industry is the information age. You need to go and find the information to make yourself grow. You have to go and search for the ideas. You have to go and look for the gooses who are laying all the golden eggs, and you have to go the free way for it. You have YouTube for free. You have many people who are educating today, and you just have to follow them every day. You have to follow them. You have to go follow who inspires you. You have to follow somebody who's more successful than you, so that you can become more successful. You have to realize that I started in a poor family. I mean poor with the health. Poor with health. You have to realize that no matter what, I realized that finances in my lifestyle and how I grew up with, in terms of finances, was never really the issue. I realized that I started to worry about money because my family did. I realized that it was never that. I realized it was more the health of the habits of my family that was really the poor way of life. I realized that my family had poor habits around learning and growing. I realized I had to overcome that barrier. I had to start looking elsewhere for the truth. I realized that no matter what, I found the truth inside. I realized I found the truth in me. I will never find the truth anywhere else in the world, because everything in life is made freely from within. You have to realize that wisdom comes from within. You have to realize there is no entity out there that's going to kill you. You have to realize that everything that kills you is inside, and only inside of you. You have to realize that you're never killing yourself. You're never going to kill yourself. You have to realize that anything that kills you is the external world. You have to realize that the external world out there is something that can kill you when you allow it. You have to realize that though, when you look inside, you'll find the truth inside and you'll grow. You have to realize that anything that's inside, you must realize that it's going to grow you. You have to realize that anything that you look outside though can kill you, because you can see metal objects, you can see people, you can see guns, you can see the ocean. You will realize that the ocean can drown you only when you allow it. You can realize that a person can kill you only when you allow it. You'll realize that you can jump through gravity and splag on the floor also, you realize that no matter what, I never need you to do that. You have to realize that the world has universal laws and you have to follow those laws. You have to realize that the human laws are something to do with the government and also the governing of people. You realize that you can break rules. You can break rules, you just never break Jesus' rules. You never break the 10 Commandments. You never break the universal laws. You understand? You have to realize that those are the laws that you must follow. You must follow the Bible laws. You must follow the Jesus laws and how Jesus lived. I promise you that anything else is evil. I promise you that anything that's not Jesus is evil. You have to realize that you make Jesus your comfort zone in terms of you're always looking to Jesus for help. You're always looking for Jesus. You have to realize that Jesus is going to talk with you also. You have to realize that Jesus is inside you. You have to realize that Jesus is somebody you can talk with on a daily basis. And Jesus lives in your heart. Jesus is in your soul. Jesus is everywhere around you. You just have to be more aware of Jesus every single day in order for you to speak with Jesus. I speak with Jesus on a daily basis. I'm always speaking with Jesus and I'm always saying I love you, Jesus, every single day. I realize no matter what, it's more about you never being evil. I'm not evil. I'm a person who's always growing. I'm always a person who's motivating myself, and you always have to be a person who's doing that. You need to be a person who's far courageous in your act, to be brave and courageous, to make sure that you go out there to lead people. You have to realize that out there means you go inside and you grow, and you also have to expand yourself into the world so that you can go and teach people. You have to go and teach for free. You have to realize that you go and preach. You go and preach biblical terms. You go and preach everything about the Bible, because you have to understand that the Bible is self-education. You have to understand that this is everything to do with the Bible. You have to understand that the Bible is more, let's say, in a new term in terms of wording. You have to realize that this is the new age now. You have to realize that back in those days is the same days as these days. It's just a newer way. You have to realize it's just now there's no Jesus, and it's a different world today than it was back then. You have to realize that back then is also today. You have to realize that it's still the same moment. You have to realize it's just a different time length. You have to be a person who's still living Jesus' life even today. You have to realize that Jesus would have lived a certain way. You understand? You have to realize that that certain way is growing. You need to be able to grow. You have to just be able to grow. You have to make the skills in order for yourself to grow. I've made so much skills in my life because I've been able to journal my life throughout the time of 3 years now. I've been journaling. I've been producing content. I've been doing everything I can to succeed, and also I've been teaching along the way. You have to realize that it's a slow process, and it will take you at least 9 years to even get anywhere. You have to realize that it's taken me 6 years to really get to a place of, let's say, freedom. You have to understand that within 6 years, you have to be reading, you have to be a person growing, you need to be surrounded by positive people, you have to be a person who's really doing everything for free. You have to realize it's a slow process. You have to realize that there is no get-rich-quick scheme. You have to realize that it's either growth or nothing. You have to realize that the growth is for free. You grow for free. You never need money to grow. You never need money to play a sport. You never need anything except for yourself in life. You just need yourself to go and put some effort in into a video. You have to put effort in into a video. You have to make sure that you're always fond of yourself to do so. You have to motivate yourself. You have to encourage yourself. You have to go talk about something. You're going to talk about something. You're going to help someone with something. You every day learn something more about the world and you put into a video. Every day learn something about the world and you put into a video. You're just going to create more content and more content and more content, because you would understand that Jesus will do so even today. You would understand that Jesus would have a phone. You would understand that Jesus would be on social media. You would understand that Jesus would be doing something for free and will gain attention for free. You understand? You would understand that Jesus will never give money to gain attention, because Jesus can do it for free. You would understand that Jesus can do anything for free. You have to understand that Jesus walked into people's homes for free and ate for free all his life. You have to understand that Jesus never had money. You have to understand that Jesus will never work for money. You would understand that Jesus only made sure that everybody around him is growing. You also have to be a person in that nature. You have to be a person who's devoting your time in a way that you're helping everybody grow. You need to help more and more people grow so that you can help yourself grow. You have to understand that helping other people grow is going to help you grow, and that's being selfless. You have to realize that being a selfless person is something that you help people in terms of their lives, to help them escalate their skills and mentality and leadership and spirituality and awareness and love for themselves. You teach them how to love themselves. You teach them how to lead people. You teach them how to manage people. You teach them everything of the same in growth. You understand? You need to be a person who's always leading in a way that you are living your talk. You're speaking your talk. You're a person who's walking your talk. You have to understand that is integrity. You have to understand that is the only way you can actually grow. You have to understand that you never lie about it. You need a certain regimen every single day. You need to maintain your habits, and you need to keep increasing your habits. In terms of you have to keep increasing the intensity of your daily life to be tougher on yourself so that you can grow. You have to understand that when you're tougher on yourself, you will find more ways to grow. You have to realize that those people who are weak and never tough on themselves are always making excuses based on why the world is so hard on them. You have to be hard on yourself so that the world and life is never hard on you, and instead, that way, life will be much more easier on you when you are much more tough on yourself. You have to realize that those people who have it hard are people who take it easily in life. You have to realize they take the easy route. You have to realize they're always easy on themselves. They let everything off. They let it pass. They never discipline themselves. They're never really hypercritical of themselves. They're never aware of what they're doing. You understand? You have to understand that is the easy road. You have to understand the difficult road is much more tough on yourself. You have to understand that you must be a person never working hard. You must be a person who's making it easier for yourself in a way that you need to be more simple. You never be difficult. You have to be more simple in a way that you're looking at yourself, and you make a mistake, you are tough on yourself to go and learn that mistake, because once you learn that, you realize that you'll never do it again. And that means that now you have to maintain that discipline. You maintain it, you go and find other skills that is going to help you grow, and you maintain more and more habits and skills while never crossing the boundary of going backwards. You understand? You have to realize that those people who are easy on themselves are really going backwards all the time. You have to realize that is never the way to go. You never have to go backwards, you go forwards. You have to understand that those people who live forwards are people such as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. As he said in one of his videos, he has his back against the wall, and I promise you that he will never go backwards. I promise you that he will stand and look at the crowd in front of him, and he will say, "You guys are never going this way." He'll stand and he'll cross the boundary in terms of he'll never cross his own boundary. That he'll step on the wall and he'll say that none of you people can push me backwards. I'll push forwards. I don't care who's in front of me. I'll keep pushing forward. You understand? You have to have a wall behind you, such as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did, and you have to say that this line over here, I'll never go backwards. I'll keep walking forward. While that wall, the more you walk forwards, you may walk 10 meters forward. I promise you that that wall is going to push forward with you. You understand? You have to push forward. You have to maintain the discipline. You have to realize that The Rock, who is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, is waking up 4 o'clock in the morning to go acting, and also to go gym and eating in the morning, and has a high regimen of peak performance. You have to realize that in order for you to do that, you also have to have his schedule. You have to realize that he does that for a reason. You have to realize that nobody else does what he does. You have to realize that he's a person who has his own schedule. You need your own schedule. I have my own schedule. You have to understand that everybody has their own schedule in life. You need to be a person who has something far more than everybody else. Wisdom. You need more wisdom than everybody else in order to be more successful. You need to be teaching more. You need to be doing more than them. You need to be giving more. You need to be a more generous person. You need to be more kind-hearted. You have to realize that those people who are more kind are always more successful. You have to realize that to stop cruelty, you have to learn how to never be cruel on yourself. You have to learn that you need to stay away from drugs now. You have to stay away from eating meat. You have to stay away from what people are doing. You have to understand that you have to be your own psychologist. You have to be your own scientist. You have to go and be your own philosophy. You have to go and make your own philosophy. You have to understand that what you did 5 years prior to this is also how it's going to be in the next 5 years, unless you improve yourself right now. You have to understand that if you were a drug addict for 5 years in a previous life, so I say, so you're 28 years young, you from 23 were smoking drugs, and you're now 28 and you're still smoking drugs. I promise you for the next 5 years, until you turn 33, you're still going to be smoking drugs because you never improved your habits. You understand? You have to understand that your habits that you have today are going to be the same as the next 5 years in terms of unless you improve yourself. You need to be a person who's improving your habits so that you can really realize that improving habits is everything. You need to realize that writing books is everything. You can do it for free. You have a note system. You have a beautiful notepad inside of your phone right now. You have to understand you have a laptop, you have a computer. You can go and write your journal and go and teach something. You understand? You go teach anything. You go teach how it is to live life. You go and teach something about your life that's so interesting. And you just keep talking about the interesting parts. You never have to worry about your life. You go and talk about the interesting parts. I promise you that everything else that you thought that... I promise you that the more you talk about anything that's interesting in your life, I realize that the more you're going to find out that the aspects of life that were never interesting are really interesting now. You have to understand that you just start talking about something that's interesting. You're going to talk about something that's interesting with your fellow colleagues and with people. You do it for free. You're going to teach them something. And you just stick to it. You stick to the focus of interest. You love wrestling? You go and talk about wrestling. You go and make a business out of wrestling. You go and make your own company. You understand? You go do something around that. You love sports? Go and talk about sports all your life. You love managing? You just go and talk about managing all your life. You pick an interest and just stick with it. I promise you that one interest will lead to everything. You love managing? You can manage cars now. You can manage people. You can manage dogs. You can manage everything. You can manage objects. You can manage real estate. You can manage anything. You understand? You just go and learn how to do it. I promise that whatever you're interested in right now is your profession. You have to understand that your profession is your passion. You have to go and make your passion your interests. You need to realize that your passion are your interests. So when you're actually doing anything that you're interested in, you're doing what you love to do. You have to understand that's the whole point of Jesus' life. You have to understand Jesus loved what he done. You have to understand that Jesus loved what he did. You have to understand that Jesus only loved what he did because he never did it for the money. You also need to do something like Jesus that is never for the money. That way you will learn how to succeed. You will do something much greater than Jesus because Jesus has said that you can do something much greater. You understand? You have to understand that Jesus said that you can be greater than Jesus. You have to go and do now something that's going to really improve the world. That's your interest in life. I don't know what that is. I realize that it can be your application. I realize it can be your phone. I realize you may be a technology freak. I realize you may be a car freak. I may realize that no matter what, you may be a god. You go and speak how it is to be a god. You have to understand that we're all above the world anyway. You go and make one topic your passion for your whole life. I promise you that you'll find something to do. I promise you'll be successful as long as you do it for free, such as Jesus did. You have to realize that the whole point of life is to breathe better. You have to understand that for you smokers out there, you have to understand that I never do these videos for anybody other than God. You have to understand that you smokers out there have to start breathing better. Understand that you can get emphysema. Understand that people who drink alcohol. Understand you can get liver cancer. Understand that you have to remove those problems. Understand that people who are drug addicts are going to have negative symptoms of the drug. I need you to remove the negative symptoms. You may ask how. You just remove it. You just remove the drug. You stop doing it. You have to understand it's really that simple. You have to understand that you have to watch my previous videos also. You have to realize that you have to use your heart coherence. You have to use your heart. You have to push your heart and overcome pornography and masturbation and drugs and illegal drugs and caffeine. You have to really, really suss out that no matter what, that your imagination is making all these pictures come into mind. You have to overcome it with the heart coherence. You have to understand what the ego is in terms of how to rule your imagination inside of my course. You can read the previous video. You have to understand that it's more about overcoming the ego than it is anything in life. I don't care what you're doing in life. I don't care if you're a music producer. I don't care if you're a painter. You have to overcome your ego also. You have to be a life coach too. You have to teach yourself how to be less egotistical in life. I don't care what you're doing. You have to realize that the whole point of growing is do music while you're doing leadership. You have to understand, you can be anything, and you can do more than one. I mean, you can only do one. You can only do one passion. You have to realize that one is more. You have to realize that one is the most number in the world. You have to realize that one is the biggest number. I promise you that every other number is less than number one. I never care about $1 million because number one is much bigger than $1 million. You have to understand. You have to understand, I stick to the one barrier because the one is always going to lead you back into being number one. You have to be number one in your life in order to make everything else come true. You have to realize that the heart coherence is something that's going to really overtake the imagination that you have. And you have to realize that the imagination is something that you have to break and overcome every single day. You have to realize that is also how you become less cruel, because no matter what, you need to be a person who's overcoming the ego. You have to be a person who's overcoming your mind every single day, because the mind is never your friend. You have to understand, your mind, your brain is never your friend. You never stimulate the mind so that you can do better. You understand? You have to understand that your heart needs no stimulation. You never need poisons and drugs in your heart. You understand that you're being tricked by your ego to stimulate the mind. You have to understand that your mind is tricking you to do drugs. Your mind is tricking you to be around junkies and negative people. You have to understand that you've been conditioned by other people to do that. You have to understand that who you surround yourself with is who you become. You have to go and surround yourself only with yourself and those people who are successful, and you can find those people online right now. You just be with those people. You just have yourself and people who online. You never have to talk to anybody in real life. You have, for example, I have Tony Robbins, I have Jesus. I surround myself with those people. I have also John C. Maxwell, I have Eckhart Tolle, I have Tim Ferriss, I have Lewis Howes, I have Robbie Kiyosaki, I have Grant Cardone, I also have Ty Lopez. I have all these people online. I never met them in my life. I surround myself with them. You have to understand what I just said. You understand? I surround myself with millionaires. You never have to be around them literally and face to face to be surrounded with them. You can get their books. You can get their audio programs. You can be on YouTube with them. You can go and subscribe to their YouTube channels. You follow them. You understand they post a video every single day. You go and follow what they're doing. You understand? You have to understand they're going to update you about the coronavirus that's happening in 2020. You have to understand they're going to update you about the world economy, and they're going to update you about how to get real estate and all of this money and whatever. You have to understand, I'll update you also about the world. You have to understand that it's never about the money. You have to understand it's never about the money. I've learned something that my mentors are still yet to learn. You have to understand that Jesus never worked for money. You have to understand that some of my mentors also are working for money, and I disagree with that. You have to understand that I work for free now. I never work for money. You have to understand that my passion is solely made through free will. I use my free will. I use my energy. I realized that I did nutrition for 47 months. I still do nutrition. I still learn nutrition on a daily basis. And because I get so much energy in my daily life, I can go outside and I can walk as a baby forever, because I have so much energy in me. I have so much passion. I have so much enthusiasm. I have so much love to give that I push myself and force myself to do more videos, and I push myself to do more content, and I push myself to become better than ever. I push myself to find new skills, and I combine tasks with other tasks that are goals, in terms of I drive myself to achieve more goals through experimenting with daily life and tools and technology, and with people and different certain people and different scenarios. And I look how to overcome situations prior to even going there in the first place, in terms of I plan for the future before it even happens. You understand? I prepare to speak in front of 10,000 people before I even do it. I realized that once I arrive on stage and I start doing it, I start sounding very natural, because I've already prepared 50 million times for it. You understand? You have to understand that those people who prepare and keep preparing throughout life, such as Brian Tracy says, you have to realize that those people are always adapting. You have to realize that those people are always adapting, as Brian Tracy says. And you have to realize also, you have to realize that Tony Robbins also says that those people are also people who are changing. You have to realize that Tony Robbins says that those people who are changing approach is also how you adapt yourself. You understand? You have to be adapting yourself in a way that you're changing your mind, you're changing your mentality all the time. You're never staying the same person as you were yesterday. You understand? You never stay the same person. You must keep growing. You must keep changing your approach. You must keep changing your approach. You must be finding new ideas, as Grant Cardone says. You understand? He would say, for example, with Grant Cardone, he would say that you must be finding new ideas. And I actually heard him say that. I realized that Tony Robbins would say, you must keep changing your approach. I realized that Brian Tracy would say, you must keep adapting to life. You understand? You have to keep watching life and you have to plan ahead. You have to understand that Jim Rohn is another mentor who has passed away now, although his wisdom remains here in life forever. And you can go and see his attitude. And you must have more of a Jim Rohn attitude to grow. You understand? You have to understand that person can grow. You have to understand that person can teach you something. You have to understand that person is also saying you must be a person who's planning ahead of time in order to be preparing. You have to understand that I surround myself with successful people such as Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins and John C. Maxwell. You have to understand that these people are people who are leading the world and doing more and far more than anybody else in terms of leadership and coaching and managing and becoming the best you can be in all areas of life. You have to realize that is the only way that you can be able to overcome cruelty in this lifetime. And it's all got to do with self-education and wisdom and Jesus. You have to understand that is everything in life. You have to understand that those 3 points I just made is everything. You have to go and find yourself personal development books and marketing books and sales books. You have to realize that the ultimate foundation of sales is do it for free. You need to give a pitch to someone. You do it for free. You never ask for something in return. You never ask for money in return to do your pitch. You never ask for money in return for anything that you're giving. You have to understand that giving freely is the way of life. You have to understand that I give you this for free. I give money for it. I gain money for free. I give you this for free. You have to understand that's the whole process. You have to understand that money comes freely. You have to understand that giving comes freely. You have to understand that it's the whole foundation of teaching love and being a person of love and being a student of life and being a student of everything in life. You have to understand that giving is a way of life. You give for free. You never give to gain more. You have to understand you give so that you can gain more. You just give freely. You never give to expect something in return. You have to understand that some people give $1 million to start making more money in return. You have to understand that those people are cheap. You have to understand that those people have no money. You have to understand that those people have no skills to make that $1 million more than what it is. You have to realize they're working money with money. You have to understand they're giving money to someone else to manage their money while they're getting ripped off. You have to understand that some people are giving a certain percentage of money in return for your money. You may give them $1 million. I promise you they'll give you $70,000 for the next 10 years. I promise you that in the next 10 years, you made $700,000. You never even made the $1 million you gave yet. You have to realize the next 10 years, you may make a profit. You have to realize that you never do that. You get the $1 million, you go and put it into yourself. You go and travel the world. You go and create yourself something. You go and create an application that's really going to help someone. You go and invest the money into yourself. You never go and give the money to somebody else. You understand? You need to realize that you never go and work for real estate either. You have to understand that real estate is also managing other people, and you have to do all these phone calls for money. You have to go and work for money. You never work for money in the first place. You have to understand that working for money is cruelty. You have to understand that working for money is slavery. You never be cruel. You never be a slave. You never be a slave. You have to understand that when people force you to work for money, you never work for it. You just go and do you. You have to understand that when somebody exerts power over you, for you to do something, you just go and do it. You just go and do it freely. You never do it for anything else other than for free. You never do it because they need you to. You just go and choose it. You have to understand that there is a greater power in the world. You have to understand that there is a greater power here in the world that sometimes may exert power over you and will say what you must do. And you just must go do it for free. You have to understand that many people in Egypt back in the time, you have to realize they work for free. You have to understand they were whipped to make these pyramids for free. You have to understand that those guards and people, they came rushing to those people and made them slaves. And you have to understand that the guards were waiting while they were lifting up the rocks to build up all these pyramids. You have to understand that from that point on, you have to understand that they did nothing wrong. You have to understand that these people in Egypt did nothing right either. You have to understand that they were just controlled by the government back then. You understand? You have to understand that they were controlled by other people. You have to understand that otherwise they will get crucified. You have to understand that work for something bigger than those people who were whipping them. You have to understand that they were working for God. You have to understand they were working for something bigger. You have to understand they gave the power. You have to understand that something just came into their life and just said, you must work for me now. You must work for free because I understand your life. You did nothing wrong. I understand that people around you are whipping you for no reason. You You have to understand that when people are doing that, you're never even doing it for the money. You're never doing it for the food. You're never doing it to live. You're doing it for God. You understand? You're doing it for something bigger. You're saying, I don't care about this life. I'll just go and do it now. You understand? You need that Egyptian soul. You have a soul. You have that soul. You just need to realize it more. You have to realize that you have something much bigger that's required of you. You have to understand that you have something much more that you can do than eat animals and work for money and never lead people and be negative around people while going to a nightclub to pick up women and men because you think a darkness place is going to do something of favor. You have to understand that you need more attention. You need more people around you who are going to lift you, who are going to be inspired by you, who are going to admire you, who you are going to admire for admiring you, and you're going to inspire people. You need to be that person. You need to be that person who is really a fun person, who is really loving, who's really generous, who's really giving. You never look at a woman to go and have sex with her. You look at a woman to help her. So you never look at her as a sexual object. You understand? You're never looking at people as some frauds and some scammers. You're looking at them, you're kind to them in the first place. You never just judge them, and you never just prejudge them in the first place. You look at them and you realize that you remove all the boundaries, you remove all the blockages of anything that's never going to help you to give love. You have to understand that money is one of them. You have to understand that money is going to block you from giving love. You remove the money totally. You remove the money, you understand that you go to that person, you shake their hand, you understand it's never about the money. You have to understand it's never about the money in life. You have to understand it's more about freedom, it's more about compassion, it's more about giving that person something for free. You can give them money, you just never expect money from them. You never expect them to give you something. You never expect them to give you knowledge. You never expect them to help you. You just go and help them. You just go and give them. You just go and give them money. You go and buy them a drink. You relax. You understand? You're never expecting them to buy you a drink. You're never doing that. You're never expecting them to give you an opportunity. You just go and give them an opportunity. You go and be the opportunity giver. You're giving this person an opportunity. You're showing this person the way. You go on social media. You write this person and you say, I've seen this about your life. I'd just love to add a few comments just to make you more aware about how you're living life. I do this for free. I'm a life coach. And then you just start really elaborating on the person's life and how they can improve. You send them one big message and you just move on. You realize you get that one big message. You post it inside your journal. You help someone else with it. You go and accumulate more messages. You go online. You go help your friend that hated. You go and help your friend that hated you and that hates you right now. You go and write them something. I see this about you. I see that you're this and that and that. I realize that this is how you can improve your life. I realize this is how you can improve the hatred that you have. Whatever. You understand whatever? You go and you help them. You have to understand that you have to be a person who is just doing that. You grab that big message of 10,000 characters that you wrote to your friend. You realize that is a nice book. You have to realize that's a nice chapter. You realize you put that in your journal. You upload it online for free. You have to realize the whole world in Africa and Southeast Asia and Middle East and Pakistan and Russia and America and Mexico City. You have to understand those people just go into your Instagram, they click your bio link. You have to realize they click your bio link. You have to realize they find you. You then realize they just find your content for free. You're never charging anything. You have free love to give. You're just giving free love. You understand? You have to realize when you go to a woman, you never give her money to be with you. You have to understand you go with her to be with her for free. You understand? You have to understand that when she's looking for money from you, you have to understand that you deserve better than her because she's expecting something from you in return for being with her. You never need that in life. You never need to be around a woman who expects something from you. You understand? You go and give as much as you can, and those people who expect something more from you, you have to realize that those people you never need. You never expect anything from anybody. You have to realize that you can ask people for money. You just never be ashamed about asking for money. You can ask your family for money even when you have money. You keep asking for money. You keep asking for sex. You have to realize I was very ashamed about having sex. I was the person that I would never say to a woman, let's have sex. I was never that upfront. I was very scared. I had anxiety. You have to realize that it's because I was very cruel on myself. I never had sex because I never asked for it. You understand? I realize now, since I've been asking more and more of myself to improve myself, I've been asking more and more about sex. You understand? Because improvement leads to sex. You understand? The more you improve, the more sex you will have in daily life. You have to realize that is a way of life. You have to understand that you never be ashamed about what you're doing. You have to understand you never be ashamed about sex, and you never have guilt and shame in your life. You never be shy either. You have to understand if you're shy, you can now start journaling something. You can start writing something about your life that's interesting. You understand? You just start. You stick to interests. You when you have friends, you share some common interests. You can go talk about those common interests with them and build a business around it. You understand? You go and promote the interests. You just go be all about it. You have to understand that is the only way to stop cruelty. You have to stay in life about what's interesting. You stop taking the drama. You stop going where the drama is, because that's nobody's interests in life. You have to realize that is majoring in minor things, as Tony Robbins will say. You have to understand most of the world is interested in drama. You have to understand drama never helps anybody. You have to be the 1% of the world that's interested in something other than negativity. You have to understand you have to go and be interested in something that's positive, that's going to be interesting in your life, that has nothing to do with violence and drama and causing negativity and racism. You never be interested in racism. You understand? You go and be interested in something much more. You go and be interested in being a world leader who can solve all the mysteries of the world. I promise you that's probably the best way you can be Jesus. I promise you in this video I've taught you something about how to stop being cruel. I hope that you still continue my journey. I hope that you enjoy the process. I hope that you enjoy your life. I realize that these alpha theta state brainwaves are really, really helping me. I realize that I've managed to really give you a nice performance here in my video. I realize that I do make 1 hour videos so that I can really relax after video, so that I can upload my content and so that I can talk about something different. I realize that is a way of life. I realize that you have to keep moving on. I realize that you must have enjoyed this video. I did. I realize that I'm very relaxed with my theta brainwaves. I realize it's a nice, beautiful way to do videos. I will also, guys, make sure that you guys share my video. I need you guys to share me around. I need you, please, 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 to share me around. I sometimes never use repetition. You need to use alliteration. You guys never search up what alliteration is. You have to realize that pizza pan pickled. You have to understand that that is alliteration when you're speaking with P, 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 P in the first words. You understand? You have to realize that similes are anything to do with anything that's related. You need to relate to life. You need to relate to everything. You understand? You need to relate to your life and give your story so that other people can relate with you. You have to realize that's the only way you can stop being cruelty. You understand? I'll make sure, guys, that you guys see me in the next video. I hope that you enjoy your day, and I thank you very much for watching.